Is the flexibility of entrepreneurship that you anticipated what you've actually experienced?
Yeah.
Yes, it was the
Yikes. Well, I mean, I feel like a lot of moms specifically, like they want to start a business because for two reasons, right? Time and financial freedom.
right.
And
Which
so,
both lean into the need for flexibility, right?
right. But often what we find is that you have to give up your time in order to get that financial freedom. And so therefore you do have some flexibility, right? That's a perk of
Mhm.
it because you can work on it often whenever you want, right? But
Right.
it's still like I feel like it commands so much of your time. Being in business commands so much of your time. What are your thoughts? Like, what do you think?
Yeah. So my thoughts on we us going into business, especially as like military spouses, but I mean it really anybody who goes into business, a business that we can run from the house so that we can continue to be here with our children or for our children, like, get off to school, come home from school, so that we can still keep the home running the way that we always have. We kind of still continue to want to carry that as part of our responsibilities. So when we go into these businesses, we think that it's going to provide us that flexibility where I can still be here with my kids. I can still go to the school and volunteer and have lunch with my kids. I can still be home with them when they're sick. I can still get a lot of the household stuff done because I can work in between in pockets, or, I can make my own schedule.
Mhm.
That's true. And I think that is where the flexibility almost like doesn't turn on you. Like it becomes not as flexible as you thought it was going to be because we don't set up those boundaries around what is going to continue to carry through our days as far as household responsibilities and running errands and all of those things. And what we're going to determine is appropriate for from our own point of view for our workday and what now needs to happen outside of the workday or on specific days of the week. But getting really specific about having actual work hours so you're not just putting it in pockets and you know
The demands that you need to adhere to for your clients, right? Like oftentimes
yeah
that you don't consider the amount of time, you don't realize the amount of time it's going to take you to do the work that you need to
yeah
do for the clients. And therefore, the things around the house or the
yeah
kids or the spouse are going to kind of have to take a back seat because you feel obligated to this client because they've paid you money.
yeah well, and
Mhm.
I think that's the thing, the other side of it. We either tend to give, this is where, I talk about work life balance line. I know people freaking hate the phrase and I love it, and here's why. Because we do tend to go all in here or all in there, and we don't find, you can call it balance, you can call it cohesive flow, I don't care what you call it. It's, melding what needs to happen from all of the different pieces of your life in a way that feels appropriate and in the right proportions for that period of time. But we become so overwhelmed, or so we feel obligated to either continue to serve our family or our household in the way that we always have and try to fit in what we want for our business, or we do pick up business and we get so consumed with trying to make that work and wanting it to succeed and needing to give it our all, and then we feel like guilty because perhaps we're not putting what we thought we were going to or what we want to into our household. And so um it doesn't feel like we have gotten that level of flexibility that we wanted, because one thing or the other almost becomes like all consuming and we don't have that balance.
Right.
And so go ahead, you were going to say something.
Well, I was going to say I would say my suggestion for people, especially when you're first starting out, is just to start off slow, right? I wish that I would have built my business around my life instead of the other way around. I really built my life around my business, and it was something that I regretted for a long time because my kids were so young. And I
Mhm.
wish that I wouldn't have made my business such a priority,
Yeah.
because but I had so much to prove to everybody, and I felt like I needed to make money, or else I was going to have to go back and get a job, and then I wasn't going to be able to be home with my kids. So in my mind, I was justifying this overworking,
Yeah.
for what I felt like I was sacrificing.
Yeah.
Self care was one of them, rolling
Mhm.
out of bed and not taking care of myself and doing all the things, just, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of
As
things.
we've talked about, like these things lead to burnout,
Yes.
right? And then the everything comes crashing down, and we have to step away completely and recuperate and get our footing again for however long that takes. When if we had somebody to show us at the beginning, if we knew how, great, but if we don't, if we had somebody to show us at the beginning that there is some form of balance that's available, and it just takes a little bit of work on the front end. So actually, I just created a 3-day workshop where we do this. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I haven't released it yet, but it's coming out soon. But it's a 3-day workshop where we look at priorities. We
Hmm.
set goals based off of the priorities in like a fun way.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun. But we set goals based off of the priorities, and then we work the schedule
Hmm.
so that those goals get met in the chunks that make sense for the person. So there's no overwhelm that comes along with it. But then also when they step away from it to their family, to their household obligations that they have determined are appropriate for them to continue to carry on, or, not delegate, um, then everything does feel like balanced and it flows. And then there is that flexibility to have the household, have the job, have all the things that you decide you want in your lifestyle.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the best way to start, especially when if you have so many responsibilities, and uh, kids, especially when they're young, and
yeah,
household, and doing all of the things, and running a business, I think is a well, I know is a lot harder than a lot of people realize. I think that people get on the internet and talk about how simple it is. Hey, if you just get on here, you can sell digital products and you're going to make thousands and millions of dollars. It's going to be so
yeah,
easy. Sign up for my MRR course, sign up for this, and I'll show you how to sell affiliate products, and I'll show you how to do this. And
yeah.
really, I'm just going to be completely honest. That is called marketing. They are trying to make money off of you, and insane. That is all that is. They are trying to make money off of you. And that is, it's not easy. That's my point. It's not easy. It's not easy for them, and it's not
It's
going to be easy
not
for you.
easy, but it's possible when you kind of know what to expect, when you have somebody who does know what to expect to help guide you through the process.
It's
Um,
easier when you have someone holding
it's
your hand. I'm not even going to
much
lie about
easier.
that.
Yeah. I will tell you when I first no, I started my business. There's a like I said before, there's a number of reasons why I started my first Etsy shop, but part of it was the level of flexibility that I would have to be able to so both of my kids were still home with me when I first started it. I think maybe my oldest was going into kindergarten, but they were still really, really young. My youngest was definitely still home with me, like full time. And so I did need the flexibility to be able to do something on my terms. So on my time, um, with all of the freedom to be there for my kids and still make, their world go round. And then, so that was part of the reason I didn't know how to set boundaries and create. I'm great at organization and scheduling, but I didn't know how to do it as a brand new business owner so that I made sure that I had that balance, that everything continued to flow well.
Mhm.
And then the I had the idea that because I was a solopreneur, I was supposed to do it all by myself, and it was cheating if I didn't. if I didn't do it by myself, if I had help or, I got guidance. I don't know what in my brain told me that that was true, but I really believed that I was supposed to figure this all out for it
Mm,
to really be my own success. And so I suspect that I'm not the only person who thinks that way.
yeah.
And if that's the case, I would say you're doing yourself a huge disservice by thinking that you have to carry the whole entire load instead of leaning into the people who have been there and come through it to the other side, who have established their business the way that they wanted it.
Mm,
And the communities,
yeah.
right? That of people that are going through the same thing that you can lean into and get support and get guidance and get uplifted and all of those things. So absolutely not thinking that solopreneur means doing all the things all by yourself all the time with no support. And I
Yeah.
go, that's a little bit outside of the flexibility thing, but that was just part of what really threw me in not being able to align everything well in my business to start with is thinking, you know, I
Yeah.
have to do it all by myself and not spending the time to manage my calendar and my boundaries.
Yeah.